you want to use Pinterest to grow your business? Perhaps you've already been searching and watching some other videos showing you some really flashy tactics and tips on going viral on Pinterest, and then you landed here, or maybe not. Maybe this is your first video that you're seeing related to Pinterest marketing. If so, welcome! Today we're actually going to talk all about how content creators and e-commerce businesses alike can benefit from this amazing platform of 463 million active users worldwide. Pinterest is still a baby platform compared to platforms like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, but that doesn't mean you should count it out just yet. So today we're going to dive into the top 3 things you need to know when crafting your very own Pinterest marketing strategy. Now, thing number 1, Pinterest is not a sloppy seconds platform. No. Don't just take your TikTok videos and slap them on Pinterest and hope for the best. That is not how we do things here. While pinners are very likely to watch your video content on Pinterest, they do want to know how to do things. So here's a really quick example for you. You might be scrolling through your FYP on TikTok or Instagram and see someone doing a get ready with me video. They're showing you making their smoothies, picking out their outfits, all of those things. On Pinterest, what they want to see is how you put those things together. How to style black leather jeans and a white tank top with Converse shoes. How to make that blueberry acai smoothie. They don't want to watch you get ready. They want to learn how to do what you're doing in your videos. So as you are thinking through putting your content on Pinterest, I want you to make sure you are framing your content in a way that is high value and teaches people how to do something or how to achieve a result. With Pinterest being a search engine and they are looking for things like blueberry acai smoothies, that's the phraseology or terminology that you're going to want to use in the form of keywords. So other platforms are saying, we want you to use keywords in your descriptions of your videos. Well, Pinterest has been a search engine since 2011 when it introduced its first search algorithm. So this platform is no stranger to pinners using unbranded terms to find things like acai blueberry smoothies or how to care for a snake plant. In fact, 97% of all searches are unbranded, meaning people are not going and looking for the brand of whatever product that they're looking for. They're actually looking for things like white canvas shoes instead of white Converse shoes. Okay? Now there are people looking for branded terms, but there are more people looking for unbranded terms. So just keep that in mind. Now, one other thing to consider when you're creating content on Pinterest is the fact that Pinterest is a full funnel marketing platform. Now, what does that mean? I am happy to explain it to you. Full funnel simply means that there are different phases of a customer buyer journey. The very first phase and the top of the funnel is where the majority of your people are going to be hanging out, and that's in awareness. They're looking for things like how to build a shed office in my backyard. Those are awareness types of content. The second phase of a buyer journey is consideration. That's when they're looking to make a decision, but they don't know which one is right for them. So they might be looking at comparison type content, like this or that content. And then the last phase of the buyer journey is purchase. The fewest amount of people are in the bottom of the funnel, ready to actually purchase. And this is why I tell people on this YouTube channel and in my membership constantly that you cannot just market products on Pinterest and expect to make bank. Unfortunately, you need to nurture those people to the sale. They don't just whip out their credit card and say, here, take my money, like they do on Facebook, because these pinners are planners and sometimes they're planning months in advance of a big event. A couple more fun facts before we move on to thing number 2. Now, 80% of Pinterest users actually spend more money on Pinterest than they do on their counterparts, like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, because people on Pinterest are decision makers, and once you get the decision maker in your pocket, you get the whole family, because Pinterest is made up mostly of women. Yes, women. The men are starting to rise on the platform, as well as our non-binary folk as well. However, women are still the dominators on Pinterest, so once you get those decision makers on your side, you are more likely to coax them into a shopping cart on your website or down into your funnel if you are a content creator. Now, nothing scammy in that sentence that I just said. There's nothing scammy about that. However, the decision makers are where the money lies, and the average household income for a big majority of people on Pinterest is between $75,000 and $100,000 a year. So these people have money. They also have decision-making power. So keep that in mind. Thing number 2 is to find your ICA before you really start getting going on Pinterest. What is an ICA and how do you do that? It's an ideal client or customer avatar. Whatever terminology you prefer to use, it's your ideal audience. To find your ideal audience on Pinterest, I actually walk most of my paid membership members as well as clients through a 4-step process to find their keywords or their ideal audience. It's the same thing, right? We need to find the ideal audience and what keywords they're using. So one of the most common questions I ask is, what is the most common question you get asked? What do people ask you all the time and related to the thing that you do? When people come to me, one of the number one things that people ask me is, how can I stay consistent on Pinterest? I pin consistently for 30 days, then I fall off the wagon. Well, you need a workflow. That's the number one thing I tell them. First I ask, do you have a workflow? They probably say no, and then I tell them, you need a workflow. The second thing that you can ask in relation to this is, what products and services do I offer? Write those down and then go to the Pinterest search bar and search for those things. Now, I have an example for you that I'm going to show you right now. Let's say that you are a digital content creator selling digital planners. One of the questions that you get asked all of the time is, how do I import a digital planner to GoodNotes? Or on the flip side, can I use a digital planner in GoodNotes? You go to the Pinterest search bar and you type that in, and then you see the results that come up. Now you can start to envision how you can create Pinterest pins that model the same thing. Example number 2, right along the content creator digital planner example, is literally a product that you sell, digital planners for content creators. You put that in the search bar and you see what comes up. There are a lot of Etsy pins in the search results, and there are a lot of other pins to shops like Shopify, WooCommerce, and Squarespace. These are product pins, and you can again envision how you can get your pins on the platform in this search term. Now, if you're not in the digital planner content space, that's okay. I want you to do the same exercise, but for your business. So if you sell plants, if you sell plant information, if you teach YouTube or Pinterest like I do, or maybe you sell leather handbags, whatever it is, I want you to write down those 2 things. What do people ask me the most often in relation to what I do, and what products and services do I sell? Once you have those 2 things written down, I want you to go to the Pinterest search bar and start searching for them. I want you to pay attention to the search terms that are coming up in the autofill, and I also want you to pay attention to the Pinterest pins in the search results at the top. What text overlays are they using? What pin titles are they using? What imagery are they using? Are they using stock photos or not? Is it videos or not? Just pay attention and take notes. If you have gotten a lot of value from this video already, can you do me a big favor and hit the like button so more business owners can actually see this content in this space? I would appreciate it. The third thing that you need to be aware of when crafting your own Pinterest strategy is creating your foundations properly. I talk about this often in paid groups, in coaching, in products that I've created here on this YouTube channel, and even on my blog over at heatherfarris.com. But I don't think enough people actually do this part properly, and it's because they are missing a few key components. Now, the very first thing when it comes to optimizing your profile is understanding what things need to be optimized. Now, since Pinterest is a search engine, you want to optimize all of these areas. I'm gonna name them off if you wanna take notes. Number 1 is your display name. You don't just have to put your name there. In fact, you can put a main keyword phrase that you wanna rank for there. Go check out my Pinterest profile and you will see what I'm talking about. Number 2, your bio. Even though your bio isn't what brings most people up in the search bar, it is a place that you should optimize and use 2 to 3 keywords and make sure you prioritize the first 140 characters, because after the 140, you have to click a more button and it opens up another screen on the Pinterest profile. Number 3 are your board titles. Your board titles should be keyword phrases that people are using to search for your content on the platform. We don't just want to use simple terms like planners. Instead, we want to use simple terms or phrases like digital planners for GoodNotes. You want to use a longer tail keyword for your board title because that is going to be more likely to be shown in search than something very competitive like the word planners. The next thing that you want to optimize are your board covers. Now, this is more of an aesthetic thing on your overall profile, but your board covers are actually Pinterest pins that you're going to upload to your profile. You're going to link them to your website. You're going to optimize them as if they were a Pinterest pin and then apply them to your board as a board cover. This makes your profile easily skimmable by your ideal audience. If someone lands on your profile, they can see in a glance exactly what you talk about and what you create on without having to open every single board. Now remember when I told you to use long phrases as your board titles? Chances are those long phrases are going to get cut off. They're still great for search. They're still great for people clicking on those boards. However, board covers help people to see the full Pinterest board without having to open every single one. Now, the next thing that you're gonna wanna do is claim your website. If you're on a website like Shopify, this is gonna be done through the app provided by Shopify and Pinterest. However, if you're on any other platform, you are probably gonna need to put a little bit of code on your website, click the button, and then it will be claimed. If you have any questions on how to claim your profile, make sure you visit the playlist in the description for Pinterest marketing strategy, and there's a whole tutorial on pretty much every platform that I can cover. The last thing that you want to make sure is optimized are, of course, the Pinterest pins that you upload to the platform. Obviously, any pins that you create really should be optimized the same way that I've already explained for the other areas of your profile. Board title, board description, pin title, pin description. And then make sure that you're pinning all of your pins to the most appropriate boards first. Now, the last thing that I will say that you need to actually import into Pinterest, this is only for e-com sellers, is your catalog. So again, if you're on a BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Shopify, Squarespace situation, you need to set up a catalog and import it into Pinterest. Then you have the availability potentially to become a verified merchant and get a blue check mark. So now that we've covered all the areas that you need to optimize, let's move on. You want to have a keyword strategy in place in order to fully optimize your Pinterest profile. So just know that you probably are going to want to do your keyword research first and then create your optimized profile. But to create an optimized keyword strategy, what you want to do is look for keywords that are commonly used by you. So think keywords that I use on Google all the time. What am I using for my Google SEO strategy? If there is a common list, map them over to Pinterest and see if they also populate there. If not, then what I would suggest doing is looking for keywords in the awareness section of your customer journey. So how to create a green smoothie, best fruits for weight loss, whatever your keyword strategy is for that top of funnel. And then your consideration keywords, these are things like comparison. And then your purchase keywords, these are keywords that are product focused. If you have any more questions on keywords, leave me a comment down below or head over and watch my keyword strategy video. Now, the next thing that you need to have in your overall strategy for Pinterest is an image strategy. So using those keywords we were talking about, the products and the content that you create, and then crafting Pinterest images for your profile. You'll want to do this with both video and image pins because those are the two pin types that we can create on the platform. And you want to make sure that you are using keywords both in the title and on the image, as well as in the description of the Pinterest pin. The next thing that you want to have in this overall Pinterest strategy is a scheduling workflow. This is where a lot of people actually get hung up. They either get hung up in creating Pinterest pins and all of the design aspect, or getting them scheduled to the platform. Now, you don't need a fancy paid scheduling tool right out of the gate. You can just use the native scheduler right on Pinterest. However, if you do want to pay for a tool, I like tools like Tailwind, Planoly, Later, and Circle Boom myself. There is an entire playlist on this channel called Pinterest Schedulers or Pinterest Approved Schedulers, something of that nature. You can hunt that down in the description down below and see which one works for you. However, I would just say, this is what I would suggest doing. Make sure that you have your pin titles, descriptions, and URLs ready for each image that you create before you sit down to schedule. So what I actually like to do inside of my Pinterest system is have my images created in Canva. And then what I like to do is add a comment to each image in Canva, add the URL in the comment. That way I can see which picture or which pin I made and which URL it goes to. And then in my Pinterest system, I will write the pin title, pin description, and I have the URL right there next to it. And as I drag all of those images into the native scheduler, I can quickly copy and paste, hit schedule, and move on. And it does not take a lot of time to actually get your pins scheduled. Now, the last thing that you want to have in your overall Pinterest strategy is a handle on your analytics. Now, word of caution, if you're in your first 90 days of pinning on Pinterest, I want you to ignore your analytics altogether, and I just want you to get a hold of all of the other aspects of your Pinterest profile and strategy, like finding keywords, writing pin titles, writing pin descriptions, and scheduling your pins. Those 4 things are skills that you need to master before you start worrying about what's working or not working, because you're gonna get caught up in the analytics and then you're gonna get sidelined. So what I would suggest doing is coming back later and watching my Pinterest analytics video and ignoring them for the first 90 days. I give you full permission, okay? I want to actually go in reverse for just a moment. Let's get in a time machine and go back to when I was talking about creating Pinterest pins for your Pinterest strategy. When you're creating a pinning strategy, I want you to also be thinking about how you can utilize current and future Pinterest trends to create content for your brand. So on Pinterest, if you go to trends.pinterest.com, or if you go to the overview tab and go to trends, what you will see is a tool that actually shows you what is growing in trends, seasonal trends, and top yearly trends on the platform. 80% of every trend that Pinterest actually guesses will become a trend actually becomes a trend. So Pinterest knows what they're doing when it comes to trends. And what I want you to do is start looking at least once a month at Pinterest trends related to your niche and seeing if you can get in on some of these trends. The way I would suggest using Pinterest trends is to see what's trending, relate it to your content, and then create Pinterest pins on that content. I would also suggest creating both standard and video content along the trend. Now, one of the questions I get asked the most often is how many times per day should I pin? I would rather you pin 3 times consistently per day than 30 times per day and all of those pins just be ugly and not created with any intention at all. All right? So what I want you to do is start by creating 1 Pinterest pin a day and then build up to 2 Pinterest pins a day until you feel comfortable with the amount of content that you're putting out. If you have a really low amount of products or free content on your own website, then I wouldn't suggest building up beyond a couple of pins per day until you're producing more content. So just remember, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. One of the pro tips that I will also give you right along inside of this whole thing, number 3, this is a big thing, is use all of the tools available to you. That means creating video with your phone on Pinterest and utilizing the features within the mobile app. The mobile app actually gives you access to things like product tags, tagging your affiliate links in your actual creations, so standard or video pins. They also give you a music library to choose from. And then of course, as you're creating your Pinterest pin on your mobile phone, you can actually link directly to your website as well. So not only can you use your product stickers, but you can also link to something off of Pinterest, which is great. So just make sure that you're using all of the features that are available to you. So when Pinterest rolls out a new feature, get in on it and give it a try, because Pinterest usually prioritizes showing those pieces of content in the feed over the people who are not using those new features. Now, let's actually dive just a bit deeper into titles, descriptions, and alt text before we move on to boards, which is the very last. These are the last two things I'm going to talk about in the Thing 3 category. So your titles should always use one of your main keyword phrases. Your description should use 3 to 5 keywords and a call to action. And your alt text is meant to help people who are using screen readers to be able to understand your Pinterest pin. So you can utilize the alt text to either place your description in that area, but I would also use your alt text to describe what's in the Pinterest pin. So things like, this is a red bicycle on a yellow background with a woman riding it who's wearing a bucket hat. That's really what the whole meaning of alt text is for. So one profile that I see doing this really, really well actually on Instagram is NASA. They do a fantastic job of putting image alt text in the description of their Instagram posts. So if you want to see how to do this like a pro, you should definitely visit NASA on Instagram, because they're doing this all the time. Then you can model that alt text in the actual alt text box on your Pinterest pins. Now, the last thing I want to say when you're using or uploading a Pinterest pin is making sure that you're using a URL and actually linking it to your website. There are very, very, very few instances that I would suggest not using a link on your Pinterest pins, including videos on the platform, and that's really only if the content is meant to live on the platform and you don't have anywhere to send it. This is if people are repurposing TikTok videos or anything like that and there's nowhere to send those people, then maybe don't use a link, but in most cases you really, really should be using a link. Now, as promised, let's talk about boards. Your boards and your pins, once the pins are put on the boards, the SEO for those two things are married together. So it's really important that you optimize your Pinterest pins effectively, and your Pinterest boards are also optimized effectively. And to add to it, you really want to make sure that you're pinning your pins to the most appropriate board first. I mentioned this once already, but it's very, very important, because Pinterest, when it actually indexes your Pinterest image based on what's in the image or the video, and it indexes the content that you've put on the pin to actually tell Pinterest what it's about, and then it also indexes what the board is about. So when people are searching for that thing, those two, they get married together, and that helps to make sure that your content is found by the right people on the platform. So do not pin pins that are not related to the topic to your boards. Those catch-all boards that people use, those are meant for personal reasons, and they're not really meant for content creators who are looking to drive traffic off the platform. Now, one word of caution, because you're going to see this in other Pinterest marketing experts videos on this platform and elsewhere. If someone is selling to you that Pinterest viewers are the most important metric on Pinterest, run like hell. They are not the most important, and going viral is not going to help you either. In fact, Pinterest viewers are important to an extent because it tells us that people are seeing our content. But if people are seeing our content and not taking action, then what's the point of doing this whole thing anyways? So just be aware there are going to be people who are teaching you Pinterest marketing things that are not always focused on the right things for you. Now, if all of this sounds rosy and great and you want to learn more about Pinterest marketing 101, 201, 301, and 401, all the way up to your senior year of college on Pinterest marketing, then I want to invite you to come and join me in Pin Profit Academy. Being successful on Pinterest isn't about just creating Pinterest pins, and it's not just about repurposing your TikToks either. We really have to create a holistic Pinterest strategy that is going to target and go after our ideal audiences and what they are looking for on the platform in that moment. If it would be helpful for you to have access to on-demand Pinterest marketing strategy videos, as well as other courses like content repurposing and content strategy for Google, then the Academy is definitely a possibility for you. Inside of the Academy, we actually have a community that is private and only for members. I host that on Facebook, unfortunately. We have weekly calls with the entire group, and you also have the ability to book one-on-one calls with me occasionally. I open these up and I allow members to book time with me. We also host hot seat sessions where we nail down exactly where you're stuck and try to find a solution to get you unstuck. On top of that, we also host live strategy sessions. I offer 2 of these live every single month. I normally charge about $197 for this, but it's actually just part of the Academy, and like I said, I open 2 spots up for this every single month. I also offer ads trainings inside of the Academy for those of you watching wondering, does she teach ads? I'm not sure. I do, and it's actually a full advertising course that will walk you through all of the basics as well as the way that I actually create and manage client ads. So ask yourself, would it be worth it for me to invest a minimal $37 a month into this Academy and learn how to do Pinterest marketing properly? If the answer is yes, then come and join us. The link is in the description, and I will see you next time.